Shout out to everybody out there on White Street. You already know what it is. Salute to everybody.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to SteveBussaGS. We got another scorecard interview. My guy, please introduce yourself for everybody.
What's going on, man? It's Gatsby, Gatsby Music. This 7 is silent. You follow me on all social medias, baby.
I'm so glad you said that. I purposely avoided reacting to your shit for like a month after I found you because I didn't know how to say your name.
You could just pull the No Life Shack and be like, hey, bro, I don't know how to say your name, so I'm just going to call you G from here on out.
I hate being disrespectful like that. I'm like, this sounds catchy, but I don't know how to fucking say this. Do I say the 7? I'm going to look like an asshole. So this is the first interview that I have that's kind of structured coming into this that I literally want to educate me. So like, for those of you who don't know, Gatsby does a lot of his own engineering, not only for himself, but for a lot of your favorites in the YouTube community. I found this out, and literally every single reaction that I've done, either for him or for someone on a song that he has engineered, I've been blown away with the sound quality. The sheer audio quality of it was fucking dope, right? So then my guy puts up a cheeky meme that I was fucking with that like says something along the lines of like, yeah, these YouTube comments be like, everything's wrong. Oh, the fucking auto-tune this, when it's supposed to be fucking reverb or distortion, or you know what I mean? And here's the thing, I try to be transparent with y'all. I'm not an engineer. So there's a good chance that at some point in my time, I've misidentified or said auto-tune when it was something that it wasn't. And I was like, yo, if I could just get a chance to kick it with this guy and let him kind of educate both me and my followers on what's what, I think that would be fucking dope. And he agreed to it, and here we are. How you feeling, man?
Feeling great. Feeling great. It's a beautiful Saturday in the world right now.
Absolutely. We got a little history, too. For those who don't know, like me and Gatsby have gone back and forth a little bit with some of these reactions. I've hopped in his live stream. If you guys haven't caught his live streams, make sure you definitely check that out. We actually just had a really dope conversation about how he's gotten to the point where he's able to sustain his lifestyle from YouTube, which like super fucking dope on that shit, my guy. Congrats on that, man.
Yeah.
How have you felt about the reaction so far?
To my music?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get 100. But I mean, we've kind of had the conversation before where it's like, and then, I mean, you saw my talking about YouTube rap, whatever, live stream where I was like, hey, if I don't get on your tier list, that's great. I'm cool. I'll make the jokes, whatever, about like, yo, I'm going to get 100. I guarantee you, like my next one, 100. But in reality, like if you were to give me like a 55 or a 40 or a 20, it's not going to change the fact that I think my song is awesome, you know?
Yeah, and this is you've said something like this before, and like I want to make this clear too for those like my scoring system is literally from my perspective through my eyes. At no point in time have I ever tried to persuade somebody else to feel positively or negatively about a particular track. And it's not just your music, but like in general, like
yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like my channel's not like some end all be all. This is literally just a guy who's like, yo, for some reason people fuck with my perspective when I break shit down or what I like. You know what I mean? So I started pressing record. That's it.
Yeah, dude, it's the amount of people that get super like upset over like a reaction or something like that is insane, because it's like, dog, I'm one person. Like I can bring a certain level of credibility, or I can come at it from an engineering perspective. You can come at it, here's exactly what I'm looking at, and they could disagree with every single thing that you said, and doesn't make either one of your opinion less valid.
100%. Not only that, but like I have 700 plus videos in the last year that I started this channel, right? I end all of my videos with, do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. Like, it's literally my like sign off for every fucking reaction. It's like, now let's have a conversation about it. And you'd be surprised, bro. As much as we tend to highlight the negative shit, right? Like obviously the idiots who say dumb shit in the comments. But for every one of those people that are just fucking retarded that say dumb shit, there's also the people down there who are like, hey, Steve, you missed this. Let me break it down to you. And now we're having a good dialogue. And now I'm catching shit that I wasn't catching before.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's dope to me. Like that's like, point that shit out. I wanna like it the way you like it.
Yeah, no, and I feel like you bring a cool perspective to reactions, because you literally say exactly what you're grading on. Here's the things that I liked, here's what I didn't like. So it's not like, it doesn't come off like haterish when you don't like something. You know, there's some reactions where people go in and you can just tell that they want to hate the song.
Right.
I don't feel like you ever go in wanting to hate the song.
I'm actually quite the opposite. I have a quality team that
Yeah.
checks the music before I react to it to see how it's going to score on the channel.
Yeah.
Specifically, so because like I don't want to. My job isn't to put negativity out in the world, right? So like
Mm.
I did one reaction to a Cardi, Cardi B or Playboy Cardi. I'm sorry,
Okay.
Playboy Cardi song. It was a mumble rapper, right?
Playboy Cardi B.
Playboy Cardi B. Now, I'm a Cardi B fan. I fuck with Cardi. I like Cardi. But Playboy Cardi was mumble rap, and like it ended up being a reaction where I was like, bro, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, I don't get it. And I felt weird afterwards. Like, I'm not the target audience for this music, so why even speak up on it? Like, clearly, you know, there's a large group of people out there who like mumble rap, who like that fucking lane. Let them fucking critique it because they know what you know what I'm saying. Like, what's popular, what's not. Like. Yeah, so the negativity thing is never something I strive for. Of course, there's always going to be misses. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, stuff slips through the cracks. And again, like your quality team is a different human being than you are. So like they might have a different perception of what you might like. They're gonna have a better understanding than the normal everyday person. But
and I get trolled. And I'm not gonna act like I don't. I'll have people that ask me to react to shit specifically because they know I won't like it, just to see me fucking rant and shit.
Yeah.
Cool, but that brings us to here, man. I'm excited to get to kick this off with you and shit like that. How long have you give us a little background? How long have you been doing everything for, man?
So my pops was a music pastor since I was born almost. So I was always around musicians. I think I was probably 5 or 6 when he got his
kid.
Yeah. So I was probably 5 or 6 when he got his first position, and so I was just growing up around super talented musicians. And so it was impossible for me not to fall in love with it because I was just surrounded by it every day. It's like Deion Sanders' kid not liking football. It just doesn't make any sense. Right. You know, so like I grew up playing guitar when I was real young. The guitar's taller than I am, and I'm sitting there trying to play it. And I couldn't pay attention to it. I couldn't get into it. And so they stuck me behind a drum set. And they were like, okay, this kid probably has ADHD or something. So we're going to put him behind a drum set, see what happens.
Start banging on shit.
Yeah. So I have 2 hands and I have 2 feet. How do you make them work in unison? And that was the best thing ever, bro. That was the best. Like I fell in love with drums and tempo and rhythm right away. And so ever since I was like 10 or 11, I was a drummer. That was my thing. I started playing.
Do you have any videos of you drumming, or songs where you're drumming in the video?
I have a lot of really popular like Christian, because I was a studio drummer for a lot of Christian bands. Right. So a lot of some of the big Christian bands, you'll hear me on the drums in the background, or I laid reference tracks or something like that. And
did you have to do a modern video of one of your songs where you're playing the fucking drums? That's super dope. I would have never known. Like that's fucking awesome, dude.
No, I've been trying to get different people to take me on tour as their drummer. I'm like, when Crypt was here recording his album, I was like, hey bro, when you go on tour, let me play drums for you. I'm telling you, bro, let me play drums for you. But my drum set's broken down in my other room. I haven't played it since the beginning of COVID, actually. I'll pull my snare out and like lay samples on stuff, but I haven't set my actual kit up in a while.
Any other instruments that you play?
I play everything to a very okay degree. Okay. So I play piano to a very okay degree. I play guitar to a very okay degree. I play bass to a very okay degree. Like if you put something in front of me and say, hey, I need you to learn this song by whatever date, I'm going to probably figure it out. Just because of music theory kind of travels across.
Right, absolutely.
But then sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, but I got done with drums, and then I started rapping when I was 13, and it was just kind of a joke. Like I wasn't really serious about it. I just really liked Kanye, and I was like, bro, I'm gonna be a rapper like Kanye. And so I started writing my own songs, whatever, and I didn't have any studios near me. There was no studio anywhere near me. And even if it was...
You're in Ohio, right?
My parents live in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. So we moved to Lawrenceburg, Indiana when I was 11 or 12. I grew up in Cincinnati, moved over there, and then moved back here when I moved out of my parents. But Indiana is not a hip hop city. You don't go to Indiana for hip hop. And so there were no studios anywhere near me. And even if, even if there was a studio that like my family knew or whatever, I was making hip hop music. Like it wasn't church music like everybody used to. So I just decided that I was going to have to learn how to do stuff. So my dad bought me.
There's your gem of the interview right there. Oh, we're getting started already, man. There wasn't an opportunity, so I just fucking did it myself. Let's go.
Yeah, I was like, if I want to make music, I got to figure out how to do it. So my dad bought me Pro Tools and a little Bluebird mic, and I just started learning how to do music. Like I just started watching all kinds of YouTube and Google videos on how to, how to mess with music and make it sound good and not suck at it. And I sucked at it for a really long time. And then I went to school for it and it didn't really help as much as you would think. And I just kept doing it. And it's like, it's all trial and error. I've been now mixing myself for, 10 years and gotten a lot better along the way.
That's fucking dope, dude. So as far as like the engineering go, what part do you think you're most infatuated with? Because like obviously your face lit up when you start talking about drumming, but it doesn't seem to be like involved in your current passion. Like you definitely seem to be more towards the engineering and rapping part of it. What part gets you going the most?
Oh, man, I will always love being able to speak my mind on a record. Like I will always love, that's how I truly like get my feelings out and like express myself completely. But right now I am really into this whole, like an artist comes in with an idea and I help make their idea better. Like Dwayne comes in with his album and he's recording it and I'm giving him ideas and we're mixing it and we're putting it together and we're piecing it. We're laying down different layers to add to it and make it huge. And I really like that. Like, I really like that.
That's fucking dope. I plan on, he said he wanted to do an interview as well. I hit him up about it. So I definitely want to get into like the process of putting the concept albums together and shit like that.
Yeah, no. He's like, he came in, he's like, yeah, so I want to do some melody stuff and I don't know what I'm doing. And he's like, I have boom bap. And I'm like, all right, bro, let's do this. Let's sit down. And then I'll make him do weird stuff like, okay, stand behind the microphone, 5 steps, and just scream with your hands like this. And we'll just make a different like vocal synth out of it and add to the song in a way or not. It's a lot of fun.
Bro, I mean, it sounds super simple when you're saying it, but I'm sure it's way more complex. Like because I've done it. Like when I was a kid, you know what I'm saying, coming up, I messed with Fruity Loops and shit like that. Cool Edit Pro, you know what I mean? Like I came up during that fucking era.
Know what that is. Cool.
I'm dating myself on this shit, man.
Yeah, bro.
But yeah, like it's super like for someone that's not into it, man. Like it literally just looks like alien fucking technology when you look at like the engineering screens and shit like that. So like that's why I want you to break it down for us. Like try and give us like an engineering for dummies, how to differentiate what you're listening to, how to score it, and especially on the comments about the auto-tune stuff, because that touched me a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had to like reel myself back in from my critique of people's mixes or my critique of like, this is, mixing is this, mixing is this, mixing is this, because I realized that a lot of people just have no idea. And it's such a foreign concept to me because I've just grown up with it. Like it's just been my life. And so I'm like, oh yeah, this is not music theory right here. I don't know what you're doing. And they're like, music theory. Yeah. And so like, I had to realize it's like speaking a foreign language for years and years and years. And then somebody tries to speak a foreign language and you're like, well, that's not right.
Right.
Or they ask you to, you speak a foreign language and then they ask you to go back to Spanish 1. It's super difficult.
Gotcha.
So we'll break this. We'll go back to Spanish 1 here. I'm excited.
So
all right.
I'm in listening mode. So go
all right.
ahead.
Yeah. So I'll just kind of explain my vocal chain that I start out with for my own vocals. If I'm mixing my own vocals, I always start out with a de-esser. And a de-esser, it's going to be at the top of my chain. A lot of people don't like putting a de-esser at the top of your chain, but I freaking love it because my voice sounds like I'm speaking in parcel tongue from Harry Potter. I have a very high and distinct, sharp voice. So de-essing at the top is going to be great.
What is de-essing?
A de-esser is basically to tame your harsh sounds.
So it's like, so instead of the spike on a high volume, it kind of curves that off, so it's not as sharp.
No, it has nothing to do with the volume. It's just going to be like when I'm talking, if I'm like Sally sells seashells down, you know, you hear that little with the S.
Right.
So that's what it's going to get rid of. And so a lot of times that is a different, that differentiates a really good sounding record from a really not good sounding record in a very simple thing, because a lot of people don't know how to de-ess. So like if somebody is rapping and you just hear like these sharp, it annoys the crap out of me. But it's also a really popular sound. Like Tory Lanez, his freaking vocals are always, and it's like, oh, I love you, but like your vocals sound like trash right now. What are you doing?
Did you ever watch? This is interesting to me. I'm gonna make a weird analogy. Did you ever watch How I Met Your Mother?
Yeah.
So you remember the episode with the window breaking? So it was like there's shit that you realize that you don't realize until somebody points it out, and then you can't unhear or undo the thing, right?
No,
this sounds exactly like what you're talking about right now, because I have a feeling that most people, like the average listener, probably has no idea that those tones or those sounds and shit like that are in a track. And now you're gonna point it out. We're gonna go listen to Tory Lanez and be fucking irritated by it. And now that it's being pointed out, like I feel like you're shattering our reality a little bit.
Yeah, so basically I have my de-esser at the top of my chain. I want to actually pull up my Logic so that I'm not reading my chain out of order. Can you still hear me right now?
Yeah, good.
All right, so I guess I should probably say I'm not good at this whole explaining things thing. When you have a vocal chain, so you're going to have like your different effects on your vocal, right? Your vocal's not going to be just dry because it's not going to sound good. So you have a vocal chain. And think about it like it's like cups that are put together. They're stacked together, and there's a little hole at the bottom of each cup. And so when you dump water in, and each cup has like a different color in it. So when you dump water in the top cup, if it's blue, it's going to take a little bit of the blue, or it's going to take the blue into the next cup, which is then going to take orange into the next cup, which is going to take green into the next cup. And so the order of your chain matters, because if you have I like DS at the top of my chain. If I was to DS after I did all the other effects, it's not going to have the same impact that it would, because the de-esser has already run through all the other plugins. So I start out with a de-esser, and then I usually put, if I'm tuning my vocals, this is where we get into auto-tune and whatnot. If I'm tuning my vocals, I have those right after my de-esser, because I like my auto-tune to run through all my other plugins.
Now we're gonna keep you on this one for a minute, right? Because most people, when they hear auto-tune, they incorrectly think it's just the T-Pain sound. You know what I mean? And they don't actually understand what auto-tune does for vocals, or how widely used that it is on people that you would never imagine, you know what I mean, have it, because it's not just that distorted like robotic sound. So like in the best way you can explain it in layman's terms, what is auto-tune?
Auto-tune, in a way that everybody can understand, is all of your favorite artists use auto-tune. 99% of your favorite artists use pitch correction in some regard. And it's not going to be it's not going to be like that sound, but it's going to be pitch correction. It doesn't make you sing good. Like, pitch correction doesn't make you sing good. I can't send somebody who's never sang a note in their life and be like, hey, sing this song, because you still have to pick your note, your root note and everything. And if you start tuning things far off the root note, so like if a song is in C sharp minor and you start singing in A major, it's like I'm going to have to tune that note all the way down manually, and it's going to sound stupid. It's not going to sound right. So if you don't know how to sing, you're going to get that auto-tune effect.
Okay. So what we're hearing when we hear that auto-tune effect, that robotic kind of sounding, is somebody that can't sing pitch correcting a lot.
Well, there's also, it's a style. It's a stylistic choice. So you have like what's called I'm not good at explaining auto-tune, but like you have a retune speed, right? And so that's how fast your notes are going to be correcting to the closest note. So if your retune speed is slow you're not going to get any of that, effect. But if you crank that up to 0, then you're going to get a lot of like movement because your pitch is going to be trying to correct to the next closest note. It's basically like if I'm playing piano, right, and my tempo is a little bit off, I can consolidate those notes and get them to the closest note, and it's going to sound fine if I'm playing the right note. If I'm playing,
You're
the
slightly
right note.
off.
Yeah, I can fix the tempo.
Right.
It's like if I'm singing, I'll use my own song for example. Like if I'm singing like "Fool me once, that's shame on me. Fool me twice, I can't go back." And some of my notes are a little bit flat. Some of my notes are a little bit sharp. It's whatever. I'll just turn a little bit of pitch correction on. It's gonna snap them to the next closest note. And because I know what I want that vocal to sound like, it's gonna sound pretty correct throughout.
Would you say that it obviously the answer to this is kind of a loaded question because we started this off by saying 99% of all of your favorite artists use it. But you would say that it's a pretty significant tool.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, pretty much any industry record is going to have pitch correction on it. Pretty much anything. Like,
does it piss you off then when you hear people trashing people that use auto-tune?
Yes. Nobody understands auto-tune until they're like, "Oh, auto-tune mumble bad. And I'm like, dog, Ed Sheeran will use auto-tune. Justin Bieber uses auto-tune. Like all these people with phenomenal voices, Brendan Urie uses auto-tune. Like people with amazing voices, but the word auto-tune has obviously developed its own life and stigma beyond just, hey, we're fixing the notes, because auto-tune has become a creative element that people are using to make their vocals sound robotic, with the little verts and
the amount of people that know what the term auto-tune versus the amount of people that know the term pitch correction are probably vastly one-sided.
And so when people talk about auto-tune, I'm like, okay, label it. Are you talking pitch correction, or are you talking the auto-tune effect that you're now lumping everybody into the mumble rapper tier?
Right.
And they're like, mumble bad, hate mumble. It cracks me up, bro. It's so funny to me.
You don't realize how dumb you sound. That's the best part about it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So we got what comes after the pitch correction?
Then hold on, let me pull up my Logic and then I have what's called audio track, and so it's gonna be a filter. So it's gonna filter out. I use it as a low pass filter and a high pass filter. I want to get rid of any sounds that are under and above a certain level. So I don't want my, like if I have really sharp frequencies coming from outside, if I hear birds chirping, I don't want that. If I have like a plosive that hops in, hate it. And if I have like my fan on or my fridge or something like that, I don't want any of that noise in there. And so my room is treated, like my booth is treated really well, but still you'll get some of the like floor creaks or something like that. So I have a certain floor that I don't want any audio underneath that level coming into my vocal.
Gotcha.
So that's going to cut out anything underneath a certain level. So my floor creaks anytime I, mess with my headphones or scratch my beard or anything like that. I don't want that coming in my vocal because I just want my vocal to be my vocal. So that's very important. Get rid of the noise underneath you, the little noise.
I think I know this from like there's certain microphones, right? Certain microphones have like noise cancellation beyond like
they have a shelf on them.
Right. So like that's been my understanding of that too. So now you're saying there's actually a plugin that does this post recording.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah. Like my microphone is gonna have a shelf on it, but it's still like it's not super reliable. They're okay. I usually turn the shelf off. Like a lot of times there'll be like a decibel boost you can turn on, or like a low end roll off you can turn on. And I don't like them because I want to have full control over everything post recording.
I got you.
So like
would you say that's more for someone that's probably not as good of an engineer as you are then? Like that kind of does like
it's preference.
Easy mode?
It's preference.
Okay.
Like, I mean, anything that is going to like do things for you is great. But once you learn how to do the things, sometimes you don't want things to do things for you. Like presets on plugins, like they're fantastic when you don't know how to use a plugin. Like when I get a new plugin, I'll mess with the presets, like whatever they've created for me. And then to see how it works and, how does this sound as opposed to this sound? And then once I learn how to use the plugin, I'm not using the presets again. I might go back to them to like reference against my own, but I'm creating my own because now I know how to use all these knobs.
So I'm gonna interject the nerdiest fucking analogy that we'll ever do for this. All right.
All right.
So if you're new to Dungeons and Dragons, we have what's called preset characters, right? Which is kind of like an average. This works.
I've never played Dungeons and Dragons before.
Bro, this is any type of role playing, right? Anything where you get to create your own character, right? The presets, how it comes is like it works this way, but it's not min-maxed. It's not maximized to be like exactly what you want it if you're looking for a specific build. So in music, if you're looking for a specific outcome, it's not going to be able to. It's not tuned in finely to give you that specific outcome. As you get better and more familiarized with the this is dope. There's gonna be like 6 people that follow me for the nerd shit that are gonna geek out at that. That's for you guys. That's for those 6 people.
No, yeah, that's exactly how it is. I mean, I don't know any of the references that you just made, but I'm sure you're right. I'm sure you're right. It's like anything in life. It's like training wheels. You got training wheels on your bike. Once you learn how the bike works and you know how to ride a bike, you're gonna take.
Think about you play sports.
Yeah.
All right, so you're playing like the newest Madden or something like that, and you get like a created character. Created character will come with like the recommended stats.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To just make it playable, but it's not necessarily optimized to be a running back if you know that you're trying to build specifically the stats for a running back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like the plug-in presets are like this works. This you know what I mean? Like this is going to be trash. And then you kind of customize it. Once you get familiar with everything, you're able to adjust it to the specific outcome that you're looking for.
Yeah. And I'm going to be real. I have a plug-in preset chain that I use for pretty much everything that I've optimized to my voice. And then I have different styles of voices that I've worked with. So like Dwayne's voice doesn't work for the plugins with my voice or the settings for my voice because his voice is deeper than mine. His voice doesn't sit in the same register as mine, whose voice is pretty similar. I work with Chase. Chase's voice is very similar in register to mine. So like a lot of the same stuff on mine, it's just minor tweaks and stuff like that. So when I get a project and somebody's like, hey, I want you to mix this song for me. I'm like, cool, throw it on, throw my preset chain on it, see how it sounds and tweak from there.
Gotcha. So do you prefer to work with people that sound like you then? Make things easier.
It's easier, but I'm never going to be like, no, you can't work with me. You don't sound like me. It's like
that would be the weirdest denial. Like you said something to get fixed. You're like, your voice is too deep, bro.
Yeah, sorry, bro. Your voice doesn't sound like my voice. That's like the most cocky, arrogant shit ever.
I love it. Who give me drop some names. Who have you engineered for that people may be familiar with you know what I'm saying? 'Cause I know you've got a range.
Who have I engineered for? I mean, I've done stuff for Elijah Kyle, Postcard, and most of the engineering that I do for people that have their own engineer or do their own engineering are people that I'm working with. Like they send me a verse and I've engineered their vocals. Gotcha. And the track as a whole. I've done Dwayne's whole EP. I did our whole Too Late to Die Young EP. I did all the recording, creative directing, and then sent the reference tracks for Crip's album. I've done a lot for Knox Hill. Who else have I done work for? Me and Chase did a record that I worked on some of the mixing. Who else have I done stuff that everybody would know?
There's one person watching this right now, like, really, bro? Really? You're not going to include the shit for me?
Is this live right now? Or is it?
No.
Okay. Shit, I know. Well, I've done a ton of stuff for like more underground people. I've done stuff for the Bakery Music. I did a song with them and I engineered their record. So yeah, I've done a ton of stuff for a lot of people.
Cool. I just want to get you a chance to flex your resume for people and shit like that. That's all.
Yeah.
All right, keep going. My bad. We didn't mean to derail you there.
No, perfect. Audio track. That's where I'm at. So I had the floor and the shelf on there. It also has an EQ on it. So right there is where I'm going to roll off a little bit of my low end. So the mud in a vocal, if you ever hear a vocal that sounds a lot like this and it's like not clear at all, There's no clarity to it. It doesn't cut through a mix. There's probably some mud in the low end. So I roll off a little bit of my low end to make sure that that's just gone out of the track. But I don't want to do very aggressive EQing because I'm going to do the EQing next.
So now what's EQ? It's equalizing, right?
Yeah, EQ is like you have a flat spectrum of your vocal right here, right? And you'll see underneath, you'll see all these waveforms that are moving, and that's your vocal. That's your vocal file moving. That's the frequencies where your vocals are, you know, higher and lower and stuff like that. And you're going to pick and choose, you know, if you have a trained ear, you're going to know where the frequencies that are going to be bad in your vocal or somebody's vocal. It's hard if you don't know the person's vocal. Like I've zoned in my vocal and I can tell you, okay, I need a cutoff to about 1,000 on the bottom end. I need a little bit taken out between 25 and 27 hertz. Like I need a little bit popped up on the top. Like there's a little, I know where I need to tweak on my own vocal. Everyone else is a little bit iffy.
So what is that for a layperson then, right? What is doing the EQing accomplish?
You're cleaning up and boosting good frequencies. So you're cleaning up bad frequencies, taking them out of the vocal, and then boosting nice frequencies that are going to help it cut through and be as crisp as possible.
What do you mean by frequencies? I want this to be educational anyway, so I'm going to try and like ask you questions to dumb this down as much as we can for the viewers.
Yeah, so your vocal
and me, because fuck it, I'm learning shit. I'm no expert in this shit.
I'm trying to think how to explain frequencies. Like frequencies is like a level of sound, right? There's higher frequencies, and then there's lower frequencies. And so there are elements of each where you are on the spectrum that are going to need to be cleaned up. And so if I've got some mud living in the bottom of my vocal, I wish I could just pull up my Logic and show you. But I don't think I can do that. Because I'm much better at showing you and explaining as I touch something than like just explaining it.
Well, maybe I'll give you an idea for a future video that you can do. You can start like a little tutorial series.
Bro, I've been doing these midday mixes where I'll like take a song and then go live at noon and just start mixing a song live on stream. And people like them.
That's dope.
But yeah, so your EQing is basically just cleaning up your vocal. You're going to find parts of your vocal where it sounds really harsh or there's a lot of mud or a lot of like sounds that you don't like. And I can't really tell you what a sound.
Auto-tune.
Yeah, a lot of auto-tune where you find the auto-tune and get rid of it. But you're going to find, I can't really tell you what like sounds you're looking for, but you're going to know it when you hear it.
Okay. Something's going to sound off.
Something's going to sound off and it's going to be minor. Like it's not going to be a huge change, but once you do everything and once you clean everything up, it's going to be so much better.
Noticeable. I got you.
Yeah.
Cool.
After that, after I do my roll off on the audio track, I do my subtractive EQ. So I said that you want to clean up bad frequencies and then boost good frequencies. So I have an EQ specifically for taking out my bad frequencies, then I have one specifically for boosting my good frequencies.
Okay.
So I want to clean up my bad frequencies right after that. And I have this SSL rack that's like a bunch of knobs and it looks super intimidating. And if you didn't know what you were looking at, because I didn't either, I pulled it up and I was like, oh, this is not an EQ. Oh God. It looks like, let me pull up a picture of it. Cause it's not, I'll pull up a picture of EQ.
That's hilarious. And like that feeling that you just talked about, you know what I mean? When you look at this and it's just overwhelming and shit like that.
Yeah.
That's my natural setting. When I start seeing the fucking engineers go to work on shit, you see screenshots of people doing stuff. Like, man, what the fuck? My brother's a DJ. So like he's the one that started teaching me about BPMs and shit like that when like fucking blending tracks together and shit. And like I just remember when he first showed me his fucking equipment and he tried to like break it down and explain it to me. It was like static.
Yeah.
It's like noise. I was like, all right,
cool. So I've got, this is an EQ, right? So that's an EQ. So underneath that gray thing, underneath there, that's your vocal. And so you've got these dips over here, you know, he may want to boost that. So that's why that's boosted. these might be really harsh frequencies and there might be a lot of mud living right here. So that's why that's dipped over here. So that's why he's pulled that out. So that's one vocal. And as the vocal moves, you're going to see different files pop up, you know, different movements go. But he's just cleaning up the bad frequencies, boosting his good frequencies up here. He's got a really sharp roll off on both ends, which I don't know why he's got this high end roll off over here. Like that's a lot. I don't know what he's mixing for. I just pulled it off Google. But this is my SSL rack.
If that's you, guy, and you're watching this, Gatsby says your shit's trash.
No, it probably not. He's probably mixing like some kind of instrument. So this is an SSL rack.
Okay. Yeah, this is the shit that I see, and I bet loud.
Yes, that's what I initially did too. I let this thing sit in my plugin bank for forever and didn't touch it. But it's really simple once you know how to use it. I promise.
Yeah, how long did it take you to figure out how to use it?
Like a 40-minute video on YouTube.
That's not bad.
No, it's like, yo, it actually is not that complicated. Like, you know, this is your high floor right here. This is your high mid floor, and this is your low mid floor, and there's your low. And so you just select your range, and then you select your boost and how aggressive that cut is. And so it becomes really simple once you know what you're looking at. But I didn't know what I was looking at, and so I stressed out about it.
Fair enough.
That thing's great. It gives you like a real like analog kind of feel to it. I freaking dig it. I like that. Waves, if you're out there, just sponsor me already.
I was about to say, this feels like a sponsorship plug.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, just sponsor me already. That'd be dope. After that, this is actually pretty late to be doing this. So if you're trying to get into mixing, figure out where you want your plugin chain to be. But this is where I put it because it sounds great for what I do. This is where I put my first element of compression. So this is where I put a compressor. Compressor is the part that you can do some cool things with compressors. So a compressor basically is going to take the quiet parts of your vocal and the loud parts of your vocal and make sure they're pretty much similar. You know, so they're going to make sure that they're not, I'm not like this, and then I'm like this. It's going to make it sit in a similar volume range throughout. You're gonna, you can hear somebody who's a good example.
This isn't just in music either, because they do that for our podcast.
Yeah,
what I'm saying? We're recording from two different areas. I have an international podcast in South Africa, so like my vocals usually come in a little sharper, louder than everybody else's. So then they start talking about compression. Like this is just for recordings in general, then, right?
Yeah. So when I do my podcast, I have different effects on my podcast. I have an EQ to still cut out some of that mud in the low end and make it a little bit clearer, and I compress it. And that's pretty much it.
Cool.
I have a limiter on there too, built into my compressor. So a limiter is just stopping me. If I start screaming at Dwayne and I'm peaking, it's going to pull those peaks down, make them a little bit more bearable.
Oh, nice. So it keeps you guys from fighting too harshly.
Yeah. It's usually the fights are over. No, you deleted the podcast files last time. No, you did. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying?
Plug your podcast. What's the name of your podcast?
Dwayne's World, but it's actually Gatsby's place. Don't let him tell you.
That sounds very one-sided.
Don't let him tell you that it's Dwayne's World. But it's named Dwayne's World on all these social media platforms. But it's Gatsby's place, and you should know that.
In your heart.
In your heart,
it's heart, you know it's Gatsby's place.
Yes, exactly.
And it's on all DSPs, Spotify, Apple.
Yeah, it's on
YouTube.
Spotify, Apple. I think it's on iHeartRadio, Amazon. It should be on everything.
Cool.
Yeah, we haven't posted a podcast in a month because we keep deleting
shit, man.
But
so that was a real argument. that wasn't an example. That was a real argument.
I feel like we somehow find a way to delete our podcast every time. One of us does. We're like, we send it through and the quality's trash. And we're like, what the heck happened in transmission or something like that? That's the problem with like mailing stuff in. You know what I'm talking about? Doing stuff away from each other is like there's a lot more technology issues that go and happen.
Bro, mine's international. You don't got to tell me. I'm right there with you, my guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Back to the chain.
Yeah, but compressors are cool because there's a lot of different effects on a compressor. So you can talk about an attack and a release of a compressor, and you can think of those as opposites. So the attack is how quickly it's going to make everything the same. So like
Okay.
if I'm saying a word that's like, let me just use a drum hit because a drum hit is very stationary and stagnant. So if I take a snare and I go bang, 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 and I turn a very slow attack on, it's going to take a while for that. And then I hit really quiet, bang, bang, bang. It's going to take a while for that to catch up. But if I have a quick attack, a very fast attack, it's not going to take a lot of time for that snare hit to catch up to the other one. So if you have a slow one, you're going to have a little bit of the initial hit is gone because it's taking a second for the compressor to kick in. It's just how fast does the compressor kick in. And then a release is how fast do you want it to revert back? How fast do you want it to release and go back to what it was and turn off? So you got
gonna sound so fucking pompous in my next reaction. I can't wait to use all this shit.
Yeah, it's like how fast does it engage versus how fast does it disengage? They are enemies of each other, but they are friends at the same time. So like if you put a fast attack and a fast release, I don't know. You can do that, but I don't know why you would do that. But like usually I'll have a very fast attack on hip hop because I want it to keep it very, consistent throughout. Corpse Husband is a very good example. So if you think about Corpse Husband's music, I don't know if you listen to any of his music.
I've listened to a song and a half.
Okay, so you know how he does that? He does like that whisper rap, and then he does like screaming rap.
Right.
So obviously, if he's whispering that to you, right? If he's whispering, "If I had a secret, would you keep it?" It's going to be quieter than when he's going, "Blah, blah, blah." But on the track, there's not really a volume dip. The volume is pretty consistent throughout.
Yeah. You can still tell that the tone is deep as opposed to screaming where it's loud, but the volume is consistent.
Yeah, the volume is consistent. So like,
Gotcha.
if you were to whisper and then you were to scream and you're sitting right next to me, you'd be like, why did you just yell in my ear? And sometimes I think that on records too. But if on his track, it's like, his whispering and his screaming is not equivalent to what it would be in real life if he did that right next to me because of a compressor pulling it all up to a similar volume path so that you can, hear it all on the same spectrum.
Bro, I'm learning so much fucking shit from this. This is dope.
See, and I feel like I'm explaining this terribly. People are going to watch this and be like, he has no idea what he's talking about, bro.
Well, it depends who's listening, right? Because like I said, this is definitely, like you said, this is Spanish 1. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. This is like, hey, I don't know what I'm listening to or what to look out for. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm working on an interview with C. Lance. You know who that is?
All
right, C. Lance, he's a big producer, does shit for like Mercules, Hobson, Acisms, like a bunch of those guys, right?
Okay.
And Acism just said, I got an interview with him coming up. And he's like, yo, do you want to do it with C. Lance? I was like, yeah, dope. He's someone that has been doing this for 15 years at an extremely high level as a producer. Like that's his whole gig, you know what I mean? So like I can imagine somebody like him listening and being like, no, you're not explaining this right, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But outside of that, you know what I'm saying? My average listener that listens to me talk about music theory and thinks I'm a fucking genius, you know what I mean? Like they're gonna appreciate this, bro. I'm telling you, like, you're gonna get a lot of positive feedback off this.
And see, I'm trying to revert back to the very beginning because I haven't like explained this in so long because usually I just get in and I'm like, okay, I know what I'm hearing and I can just adjust from there. I don't have to be like, oh yeah, my compression attack. It's like when I get on those streams, sometimes I'll be like, I don't know how to explain what I'm doing right now, guys, but I'm doing it. You can just watch me do it and then
watch me.
You learn something.
That's dope.
But after I compress, you remember the cups thing that I was talking about? So I want a clean file going into my compression because that's gonna I can make everything louder with my compression. I can turn up the gain.
What do you mean you need a clean file going into it? What does that mean?
So like I've done the subtractive EQ and I've done a de-esser and I've cleaned my
so you're saying you want all of that to happen prior to like in the chain before the compressor comes. Gotcha.
So if you have a compressor early in your chain, basically you're going to boost it and those bad frequencies are still going to be in there. So you can pull them out afterwards, but if you do it beforehand, it's like if I was to sweep my floor and then put a rug down as opposed to put a rug down and then pick up my rug and then sweep my, there's still going to be some stuff left over because some of it's going to stick to the bottom of the rug. It's like if I just sweep beforehand, it's not going to stick to the bottom of the rug.
Gotcha.
That was a really good analogy.
Wow, that was good. That was
really good. I did a good job on that one.
That was a good one.
I don't know if you could hear this or not, but let's see. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
There we go. Let's go, baby. All right, cool. I didn't know if I had a soundboard in here. But yeah, then I compress and I'm bringing everything up. I honestly use like 3 or 4 compressors. Usually I use no less than 2 compressors just because I like some of the sounds of them and I'm indecisive, and I can make it sound good if I have one very mildly acting and then one acting very strongly. Like I'll have one with a really slow release and it's just going to bring those a little bit more up. And then I'm going to have one where I'm going to boost all my frequencies and make it stick out in the track. I'm going to boost all my gain on that one. I'm going to have a fast release or a fast attack and a slow release. And I'm going to have that very prominent in my track. That's going to help my volume come up. So I'm going to, on one of them, I'm going to make sure that all the vocals are pretty much sitting similar. And then the other one, I'm bringing all my frequencies up so that it cuts through the track.
This is probably, you lost me a little bit. I follow the idea of one compressor, right?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't be able to hypothetically do that all with one compressor. Like, again, as somebody who doesn't have the equipment, and everything in front of me. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to understand that more than I do.
I mean, you can, like, if you have a compressor, I do it because I have some, like, you know, old freaking preamp style compressors. I have all kinds of different styles of compressors. So if I just have one that I like that works well, to bring everything to a certain level, I'm going to do that. And then if I have one that is a 1987, what is that one called? Hold on. This is the.
So essentially they're all achieving, they could hypothetically all be achieving different effects. And that's why you're layering them.
Yeah, not necessarily effects. It's more for like color. It's like the warmth and the color of your track. So I have this one from Universal Audio. They could sponsor me too if they want to. What's up, Universal Audio? I have this 1176, and it's an old, basically emulator of an old hardware compressor that they had, in big studios, and it adds so much character and warmth to your vocal. And so I run everything through there after I've already compressed it, just to give it that warmth and character and bring it to life. It's like I can make a pie, and the pie can be fine, but then if I add, different secret stuff to the pie, that pie could be fantastic.
Don't like that. Okay.
Or like a pizza. If I don't, or chicken.
Good toppings. I got you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like seasoning. All this different stuff is seasoning. And
look at you breaking stereotypes. That's what I like to see, Gatsby. Seasoning this food over there. Let's go, my guy.
Let's go. But yeah, that's, and then, you can get into After Effects after that. Then you can get your delay. And delay is something that gets mistaken for auto-tune all the time. Same with reverb.
Right.
So I go reverb after
these were the ones that were specifically mentioned in the meme. So you have my full attention.
Yes. So reverb is washiness, basically. It's color. You can do so much with reverb. And it's going to be really hard for me to break down the concept of reverb without like showing you.
Reverb, my understanding of that is like the echo, right? So it's got kind of like the...
that's kind of delay is going to be your echo that's going to show behind it. But reverb is going to be like your washiness. You're going to kind of hear it swirling around. Depending on, there's different like chamber. Got it. If I go stand in a bathroom and I sing a song, it sounds great. You know what I'm saying? It sounds great. It's very uncontrolled reverb, but it's natural reverb. If I'm singing in a vocally isolated booth, you're not going to hear any of that swirling or, sound surrounding. It's basically
echoes and shit like that, right?
Yeah, sparkle and shine is reverb. And you can do a lot of really cool things with reverb. I have this cave reverb that I really like that is like it simulates recording in a cave. And so you kind of have like just a wide, you hear the vocal erupt into the stratosphere, and it's really cool. And this is nerdy talk right now. But
get your shit off, my guy. I'm here for it.
Yeah, reverb. If you ever hear a vocal and it just sounds really dry, like if it doesn't sound like there's anything to it, it's chicken without seasoning. It's chicken without reverb. It's a vocal without reverb, and it needs a little bit of like, bring it to life. Bring it to life. Give it some sparkle. Give it some seasoning. Give it something.
Okay.
All these creative elements are the things that get mistaken for auto-tune because they're used very, very heavily in, stereotypical auto-tune, mumble rap, whatever you want to call it, music. Reverb is always very washy. The delay is always very aggressive. So you hear the delay, kick in the background. If I'm like, bitch, I'm on fire, bitch, I'm on fire, bitch, I'm on fire. You know what I'm saying? Like in the background.
That's delay.
Yeah, you hear it like 3 times. So it'll be like, bitch, I'm on fire, bitch, I'm on fire, bitch, I'm on fire. But there's like a million different ones. You're going to be like, look up in on. Look up in on. You know what I'm saying? You hear it like trail off in the background.
Right.
Okay. So those
auto-tune.
Auto-tune. Yeah, exactly. But the crazy thing about this auto-tune music, or whatever you want to call it, you got Lil Uzi Vert, Lil Yachty, all these like mainstream artists that people throw into the mumble rap category. Right. They all have their own chain that has developed their sound. So like Lil Uzi Vert, I studied how to make a Lil Uzi Vert channel because a guy came into my studio and was like, I want to sound like Lil Uzi Vert. And I'm like, okay, cool, let's try it. So I started watching videos about how to sound like Lil Uzi Vert, and the shit that they do with EQ and compression, like super fast attack, and then, very harsh highs in the EQ range. And then we want this reverb. And so there's different plugin, like coordination and different things that you do with different plugins to make them sound like that. And then they have their own auto-tune settings.
I'm going to ask you a question that you might not be able to answer.
Okay.
It's the first thing that pops in my head when I hear this, right? I'm not a big concert goer.
Yeah.
I've probably been to like 9 concerts, 7 concerts, something like that my whole life. All right. How would that play out live? So, if you're saying someone's whole sound is basically engineered, how does that play out in a live show? Does it sound nothing like it? Do they just play the track in the background and they kind of like talk over it? Like, how would that go for a live show?
So I have never engineered for anybody that requires auto-tune live. I've done a lot of work for bands doing live music and stuff like that, but I've never auto-tuned or tuned anybody. I have a little bit of pitch correction, but never achieved that whole sound. But when I would, do sound for churches, there's these things. Waves makes a live sound rack. And so basically you can run plugins and effects, all boards are going to have a certain level of EQ and compression and stuff like that, but you can run all your EQ and compression and tuning
right through the microphone then.
Yeah, it's just going to come out the speaker sounding like that. So you can do all that live that you can do on. You're just going to have to correct it live.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like all of that is achievable live. So like you hear Travis Scott come out there, I got so good every time, and it's not going to just sound like he's just saying it. Like it's going to sound like Travis Scott.
Right.
It might not be the exact same, but it's going to be
passable.
Yeah, it's going to sound like him.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, so it's all achievable. So when people are like, he tunes his vocals, he can't perform live, I'm like, well, maybe he can if you're running the board, but he can.
This is dope. This is fucking dope.
Yeah.
Yo, I want you guys, if you guys are watching this too, and you're watching this whole interview, I want you to leave in the comment just some piece of information that you took away from this that you didn't know prior to it. Because this is like, I really appreciate this. I really do, my guy. Like this is dope. This is a conversation that I probably should have had 10 years ago, but I'm better late than never. You know what I mean?
Dude, I've done things wrong for so long because initially I have ADHD. So I'm like, I either get hyper fixated or I get not fixated whatsoever. So like I'll get hyper fixated for 5 minutes on learning how to use a compressor. And then I'm switching off the video and I'm going to learn it on my own. Like I'm watching the first 5 minutes to get the basic, how do I plug this in? And then I'm going to go on there and just tweak it myself. So I did
definitely more of a trial and error guy.
Oh, dude, so much. I want you to give me the 5-minute rundown, basic, beginner, absolutely nothing. Just tell me how to use it. And then I'll go do it. So I've had to train myself to like, okay, all right, Jonah, you got to rewind. You got to actually like learn things. Like you have to actually study the whole video, watch the beginning to the end, and then figure out how to do things beyond just a middling level. So I did things wrong for 5-7 years just because I knew what I wanted to achieve. And so I would get on Pro Tools and just plug in my little bit of knowledge. It's where a little bit of knowledge is dangerous because you just plug it in and you just send it without actually knowing what I'm doing.
Weird question for you.
Yeah.
Well, this is probably going to be different person to person, so obviously just answer for yourself.
Yeah.
But like, do you feel as though the fact that you are making music too, like you're an artist, you're a rapper, like do you consider yourself a rapper, or because I know like you say the heavy church influences and stuff like that, do you prefer artist or is it rapper, or how do you
I
look at
don't
yourself?
care. I don't care.
Okay,
But
all
I
right,
mean,
so like
obviously, I'm a rapper. Like I'm an artist, and so like, yeah,
people are touchy. I just figured I'd ask. You know what I mean?
I am the least sensitive person you could ever hit up.
Cool. All right. So do you think like as a rapper that that is doing one of two things? Does that make you a better engineer because you now have the ability to go in, do your own shit and fuck with it? Or do you think that that may like do you think like a pure engineer, I hate to use shit like that, but like an engineer purist that doesn't do anything but just engineer with their whole life? Do like who do you think has the edge there? Like, does that make sense? Do you get what I'm getting
Yeah,
at?
yeah. I mean, I have a free training field. Like I have a free, I have a gym that I can go to every day and I can shoot around and somebody's rebounding for me. It's myself. I'm
Right.
able to, put up the shots here and then work on the rebounding element without having to put up another shot and wait for somebody else to put up a shot. I don't have to wait for somebody else's vocal to come in to tweak it. I can always just experiment with these new plugins on myself and then learn it as I go along. So that does definitely give me a benefit. I think the other thing that I've run into with a lot of like studio engineers, like I've gone to studios in Atlanta and Florida and all kinds of different places. And I feel like I love music more than a lot of people. Like I love music. Like I care about your sound almost as much as I care about my sound. If you send me a song, I'm not going to send you back trash because I want you to sound as good as possible. Which is why my prices for my mixing are so freaking affordable. It's because I knew when I first was getting into this, there wasn't somebody that I could send anything to. I couldn't send anything to people to mix it. I had to learn it all myself. And so I don't want somebody else to get into that situation where they're like, I mean, maybe it's a good thing just to be thrown to the fire. But in today's day and age, that's so like here and gone the next day and here and gone the next day. I don't want a kid that like really cares about music and really loves what he's doing, to feel like he can't do it because his sound is always getting criticized. If he sends stuff in, he wants to be a YouTube artist or he wants to rap and he wants to, work with these people. And then he sends stuff into their stream and they're like, man, your sound quality is just trash. Like and then he, gets his feelings hurt.
Discouraged at that point.
Yeah. And he's like, okay, I'm not cut out for this. So maybe he wasn't built for this to begin with, but I want to mitigate that. If it's like, yo, if I can give you a good sound and make a living doing it, let's do it.
Do you want to plug your prices here, or do you rather them just like hit you up individually for that?
I charge $70 for a mix and master. That
is pretty fucking cheap.
Yeah, if we're doing multiple songs, we can work out a deal. But
that's cheap for like again, I'm not capping you up here. I'm not trying to like hype you up because I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
I wanted to have this conversation with you because of how clean your mixes and shit like that were. So like that's cheap for someone who I would consider to be significantly less talented than you in this field.
Thank you.
So like if you guys are checking this out and you need somebody to fucking engineer mix your shit, like my cosign is heavy on this one. Like bro,
yeah,
that's dope.
And I mean, when I mix somebody's stuff, if they send me something that's just, I can't work with it, right? Like I can't work with it. There's too much room noise. You had a fan going, like there's literally the fan is in the same frequency range as your voice and I can't cut it out. I'm just going to be like, hey bro, you got to re-record. Like I'm going to call you on it. Like I'm always going to be 100% with you. Like if I don't like the way that if I feel like you could have done better, I'm going to be like, hey, listen to this part for me and tell me if you think that you could have done better. And I'll send you back the little cut of it.
You're such a nice guy. That's the most polite way anyone's ever been like, yo, this is trash I've ever heard in my life.
Well, if somebody has, I mean, sometimes, you just accept what comes into you. But like, if I see potential with you, I want you to be as good as possible. And so, like, if I see potential with this song, if I like, one guy came into my studio and he had recorded a bunch of songs with me. He recorded a bunch of songs in my studio, and you know, all of them were good. He's a really good rapper. Like, he's a good rapper. But he had this one song that was like melodic and it was catchy, and it was, you know, it was really good. Like, it was stuck in my head. It was stuck in my head, and that doesn't happen a whole lot. I was like, bro, this song. You need to invest in this song. Let's not record another song tonight. And let's just sit down with this song and let's make this song as good as possible, because this is a good song and I want you to know that. It's like, and so we just sat down and we worked on that song and made that song perfect.
Sounds good. That's dope.
I love having people here. You said you wanted to talk about mailing in stuff as opposed to like.
Well, you kind of already hinted on that too, right? Like we talked about that, especially specifically with the podcast, how it brings up different issues that aren't present when you're standing right next to somebody, right?
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, a lot of the questions I was going to ask you, I feel like I'm better equipped to answer myself now that you've broken down different elements. You know what I'm saying? Like understanding how like compression would take away a decent amount of that. You know what I'm saying? If somebody's coming in and talking lower versus like I'm not just saying that. Like I honestly feel better equipped to have these type of conversations. Haven't gone through all of that.
The next one, like, hey,
pretentious
bro, like
as shit.
Your EQ range in the 2500 frequency, like you need to pull that out. That's bad.
Yeah, it is. I'm gonna be fucking obnoxious as fuck for the next week.
Yeah, bro. Like, Too Late to Die Young, the EP that me and Dwayne did. He got here. We didn't have a plan. And we were like, we're just going to make a song together. And then we were like, let's just make a whole EP. And so we sat down and we made the whole concept of the EP. We picked all the beats together. We wrote all the songs together, and then we recorded them all together. And that was awesome. You know, it's really cool to be able to create a cohesive project like that. But then as opposed to his Hopeless EP, he came in with his songs already written, the beats already picked out. And he was like, I just want you to help me with the creative elements of it. And so he went in, recorded the song, and then he would record the songs. And if I heard something, I'd be like, hey, let's lay this right here. Let's get this vocal in the background. I don't know if you listened to that whole EP yet.
No, I don't. I'm the worst person with listening to whole projects in the world. Like just because of the nature of what I do, with reacting and shit like that. Like, it's very rarely do I get a chance. Like, so on the podcast we do full album reviews, and that's pretty much the only time that I'm listening to a full album.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, because again, it takes away from the reaction stuff like that too. Like, I want to be able to go back and dip back into albums and shit like that I like. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to me going and binging something, and then it's like, well, no more publicity for this project. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but his last song on that is called Entanglement, and it's like the culmination of all this emotion. And you know, Dwayne is a very level-headed dude. You know, you hear it in his music. He's very like, maybe not like, he's very level-headed. He doesn't yell. Okay. He doesn't like, he's not quiet. He's pretty much Dwayne. He's just Dwayne. Like, Dwayne is Dwayne. And he's always going to be Dwayne to you. He's always going to be a buck with you. Like, he's Dwayne. And I'm like, bro, you have to act like, you have to convey vocally the turmoil that you were feeling when this was happening.
You watched my reaction to what the fuck was it? What was the last one that I did?
It was the one where I sang like Justin Timberlake.
The one off of Hopeless. It was with a D, I think.
It was Farewell. That's what it's called.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. Farewell, right?
Yeah,
spelled differently.
A long time.
That was probably my only real critique of that, was that like he's telling us he's hurt, but I don't believe him. Yeah,
the last song, I think that it's believable.
Nice.
Like that's the thing that I always say to people is, I'm like, I make me believe you. Right. Make me believe you. If you're a 5 foot tall, geeky looking kid, and you
just add him next time.
No, if you're like, if you're a 5 foot, not Dwayne. I'm like, if you're a 5 foot tall, if you're a 5 foot tall, geeky looking kid, and you want to make gun bars, and you want to talk about rolling on the street, make me believe you. If you make me believe you, then you better come with something, you know? If you're just sitting there like, I got the 9 on my side and I'm ready to let it bang, it's like, make me believe you, bro. Like, make me believe you. And so that last one, I was like, I need you to yell. I need you to yell. And he go in there like, ah, And I'm like, no, I need you to yell. I need you to yell. And he's like, your neighbors are going to hear it. And I'm like, no, they're not. He's like, I haven't yelled in 10 years. I'm like, bro, just stand there and yell it. So you'll hear in the background. It's very subtle, but you'll hear these, like yelling the lyrics along with himself at different points to add to that like layer of like insanity, almost like feeling of like not being level. And those are the things that I really like, is adding those creative elements.
We gotta do a separate interview where it's just fucking behind the scenes stories.
Oh, dude, I have so many.
All right, cool. Was there anything else that you wanted to get to in the chain?
I mean, the rest is just creative elements. Like, I mean, you could talk about, I had another de-esser at the bottom of my chain because, again, my voice sounds like I'm Daffy Duck. But I had another de-esser just after I've run everything. I want it to, get rid of any S's that made their way through the cups somehow. And then you got like saturation you can add, which is just warmth and character. You can add, different types of, I don't know, delays, whatever you want to do. There's so many plugins in the world, and I have I have probably 30K in plugins.
Honestly, I feel like for what I wanted to accomplish with this video, with just getting a basic understanding of
Yeah.
some of the primary elements, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go too far off the rails to where someone watching this gets burnt out with the
100%.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like if we wanted to do that, we would set up like here's the follow-up interview where it's understood that everything we talked about in the first one is already understood now. And then like, here's like the next level to it, maybe with some visuals and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, that would be dope. But nah, I feel like for what we wanted to accomplish with this, dude, thank you so much. This was fucking dope, dude.
Oh man, hold on. I had a question for you and I can't remember what it was. Oh, you commented on my How Darling My Dare You video. The one when I'm walking on the beach.
Right.
And you were like, bro, I wish I would have broke this down because it would have been really funny with some hilarious commentary. What did you think of that song?
So like you're one of the artists who I took an interest in, just because I like your vocals a little bit more than necessarily the rapping. I feel like your ability to hold a melody and shit like that, it adds like a really good flavor to artists that I hear that I'm like, you guys suck at hooks. You need to get somebody like Gatsby on a fucking hook. Like that's what made me like enamored with your style, was like when I seen your ability, that transition from rap into the hook was like super dope. The one that you're talking about specifically, I can see it in my head.
It was spoken word, basically.
I don't want to make something up just for the sake of the video.
Good.
You know what I mean?
Good.
I'll go back. I'll message you. I'll go back and watch it again and see exactly what it is that came to me. Was I just being funny? I might have just been being funny. I might have just been something to bust your balls about, or it might have been something that I really did like. I don't remember.
It seemed like you liked it, but I never know.
I'm pretty straightforward. If I said like, "Yo, I should have reacted to this," then like it would have made a good video. I should have reacted.
Yeah.
I'm a poet. Like poetry I've been doing since I was fucking 10 years old. So like if it was more spoken word type shit like that, then like I probably was really digging it then. I probably would have. But at the same, like it's hard to say. You know what I mean? Like sometimes a good video is a good roast session. Sometimes a good video is like, yo, I can give you some insight into what's being said. What was the topic of that? Was it like relationship shit?
Yeah, it was a breakup, John.
See, that's my bag. So yeah, I was definitely feeling it. That the dark room music, like that shit is my fucking bag. I love going through the breakup shit, bro.
I mean, like you touched on something a little bit. Like there are so many people that rap better than me, like that are better rappers than me.
Right.
That can if you get me on a cipher or something with them and we're just talking bars, they're gonna out rap me. Like that's what it is. I make great music. Like I make great songs that can be replayed and can be enjoyed in different
there's a difference. There's a huge difference.
Yeah, and that's all I've ever listened to. I was never huge into the bar you out music that's just about the bars and is gonna you just want to break down the bars from every level. I'm like, I don't talk like that in real life, and I want my music to convey who I really am. So like I'm me on a record.
And I'm probably honestly like, bro, not only do I relate to what you're saying, I'm probably on the other end of the spectrum. Like I've been a battle rapper for almost 2 decades. Right?
Yeah.
I'm convinced I could probably outbar most people, but I can't make good music.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm not catchy. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of elements that's given, and that's kind of like it's a trope, right? That battle rappers can't make good music. Like that's like an ongoing stereotype and shit like that's obviously less true nowadays with there being so many dope fucking, battle rappers out there. But I do think it holds true to like my era of like the acapella battle rap, on a street corner. Yeah, most of us weren't in the studios making fucking catchy music. So
Yeah.
it's a
No,
it's a double-edged sword,
100%. Yeah, there are a ton of people that can out rap me, but like from a musical perspective of making something that I feel like is gonna last and like is gonna be enjoyed by tons of people, I fit in better with the TikTok style of music than I do with like YouTube style of music,
there's some dope TikTok music though. We're not just gonna write them up. I've heard some music on TikTok.
Oh no, yeah.
Look my shout out to Ty Verdes. Ty Verdes ended up being the TikTok fucking guy, and that's my dude now. He claims GS gang and shit like that. He got the stuck in the middle, drugs. Like he has a bunch of dope songs. It's just like, is it bar heavy? No, you would never consider it bar heavy. But you're gonna sing that shit for the rest of the day once you hear it.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's all catchy, and there is a level of lyricism to it because you're saying things that are gonna be related to and caught in people's mind and stuff like that. And I mean, you've heard me write. Like when I care about like when I write and I want to truly like reel you in with my
the Clouds remix I did.
Yeah.
I was like, no, look, there's some layers to this shit that he's putting in here.
Yeah, you were like, I might have written this dude off as not being able to write, but like this dude can write. Like I can write. It's just what do I want to listen to? Like
what's the goal?
What
goal going into a track, right?
Exactly. It's like would I listen to this right now? And a lot of times I don't want to listen to, 47 layers and metaphors and stuff like that. I think it's incredible and I think it's amazing. And I think it's super fun to unpack when you're doing a reaction. But like in my average everyday life, I don't listen to it. So like typically I don't make it. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, absolutely. And nor should you. Make the shit that you want to make. Make the shit that you want to listen to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can love or hate my music. You can think that I'm, great, or you can think that I'm super mid or trash, but it's like I'm myself. And you're gonna recognize me as me and not as anybody else.
So let me ask you this, right? How do you tier list? How do you tier yourself, right? As far as like where you're at compared to your peers, we'll say, or whoever you consider to be your peers.
I don't know, because there are things that I do better and there are things that I do worse. There are not a lot of people from a full overall perspective of can write, know how to record, know how to mix, know how to master, know how to, make a catchy song, know how to make hooks that can roll with me. Like there are not a ton of people that I feel
shit, King.
Like I don't feel like there are a ton of people that are on my level from a overall perspective. There are people that are going to outbar me. There are people that are going to,
all right, we're going to break this down then because I'm not going to let you get off the hook. This is going to be fun. So from a lyrical standpoint, what tier are you in? And I don't need you to name other people or not like that. We're just talking about you. Just your music from fucking D tier to S tier. Where would you rate your ability lyrically? On a track where you're trying to. Like I'm about to get into my lyrical bag. Where would you?
Oh, if I want to try, I can bar you out. Like I can body.
I believe you. This is your tier list. Where do you put yourself with your ability on a track where you're going into it on bars? Like my goal here is bars.
I'm A tier.
Okay.
If I want to be A tier, I can be A tier. I'm not 100 Kufis. I'm not.
Few people are.
There are people that are just phenomenal with words and can craft these. I'm not that, but I'm not stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not dumb and I'm not a bad writer.
Right. All right. So melody.
Creating a catchy melody, I'm S tier.
S tier. So is that
execution wise? Maybe not. Like I'm not Postcard. He's phenomenal at singing. I can't sing like that, but I can create catchy melodies.
His stuff has been a miss for me so far. I haven't heard anything from him that I like yet.
He's really multi-talented. He does all his own mixing and engineering. And
I heard two songs. Two songs that people recommended, and it wasn't even that it was bad. I didn't feel like I was a target audience for it.
You rock with that Merkham's joint, right?
Which one?
The one that he did with Merkham's?
I don't think I knew that he had a song with Merkham's. Did I?
You reacted to it. I watched the reaction actually, and you said, what'd you say? You were like, "This is the first time I'm ever gonna clown on Merkham's." I was like, I feel like You're like, I feel like Post had me kicking back, smoking a cigar, and then you came in here with the bulldog.
Yeah, I mean, again, Merc's my guy, but I definitely call a spade a spade. You know what I mean? On songs where he doesn't fit the aesthetic. I don't remember ever reacting to Postcard. That's ironic because like there was like a week, right, where I had gotten like 3 requests for his music, and I was like, I don't know who this is. And then I looked him up on Twitter, and I was like, oh, it seems like he's in that group. You know what I mean? Like I see him interacting with people and shit like that.
Yeah.
So I looked at the ones that were requested, and they were very commercial songs. It just sounded like shit, something you would hear on the radio. And
Yeah.
I was just like, all right. I mean, it's cool, but it's not going to score well. I'm not going to put it on the channel. You know what I mean? Like, if this is the type of music he's doing, like, absolutely get the fucking radio bag, my guy. You know what I mean? It's not like, hey, it's just that I know what the type of music that scores well on my channel versus what's going to be written off as a commercial track, right?
Yeah. Then there are the people that I'm going to put in the S tier in that melody bag are probably not the people that are going to score phenomenal on bar breakdown channels.
I agree 100%. Because again, it's intent. What was the intent in going into this? So if your intent was to make a hit commercial track that's going to be able to go on the radio and get played at bars and clubs and shit like that, by definition, it's not going to score as high on the bar heavy side of shit.
He's like one of my best friends. He lives 45 minutes from me, so we hang out all the time. But
where does I know you guys did. I seen the Jenga stream.
Yeah,
I thought the Jenga stream was fucking dope idea. I was like, this is really cool. I didn't know that was like your guy in real life. That's dope.
Yeah, no, and he's taught me a ton. He's been in music for forever. He's worked with Hobson. He's done shows with Royce, done shows with all kinds of crazy people. And I've learned a ton from him because when I was recording a record for Chase at his house, and when I was first getting into the YouTube scene, and he was like, bro, you got to have a little bit of swag with this. Like, you got to sauce a little bit here. And ever since then, I just been saucing. Like, saucing because I needed somebody to be like, yo, I don't believe you. And then I just adjust. I take the advice and then I adjust and move from there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're co-signing them that heavy, so putting them in S tier for that shit, like, I'll definitely look back into them. I really don't remember the Merc, but again, if I'm critiquing it and I'm saying that Merc came in and killed my vibe, that kind of makes sense why it didn't go on my playlist and why it's not in the forefront of my memory. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll definitely look back into them. So send me some shit. You're more familiar with his music than I am, obviously. You know what I mean?
Sent in my favorite songs that he's made, and your guy was like, none of them are gonna score. I think this one's gonna hit better. And I was like, okay.
Might just be a preference thing, man. I'll look into some shit myself.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Where else were we going for this? I forget where we're at with tiers. So we went bars, we went melodies, right?
Yeah.
So then where would you put yourself with like being able to put together a cohesive album? Because there are a lot of guys out there that can rap their ass off, like cannot make albums.
I've never made it a full album.
Really? You have no projects like that under your belt?
I have EPs. That's it. Because I don't like albums. I don't like sitting and listening to albums myself. So I make EPs. So it's Fair enough. Maybe one day I'll make an album if I'm truly feeling inspired or I truly have something that I really want to get off my chest. But right now, in the age that we're in the having a small to mediocre fan base, not being widespread, I don't want to share a ton of myself yet because it's going to fall on deaf ears to a degree. It's like I have a ton to say.
I got you. Build up the fan base first, and then
Russ laid the groundwork where he's like, single until he blew up.
Right.
And I feel like that's the wave nowadays. It's like albums don't do the same numbers that they used to. It's always the singles. You see a huge album that does fantastically. It's never top to bottom. Every song does well. It's like that one song that just goes absolutely insane and carries the album, an otherwise, mediocre album.
Fair enough.
But as far as putting together cohesive EPs and creative shit and being able to put things in different places, I don't feel like I'm lacking at all.
Dope, man. Cool. That's all my questions for you today, my guy. I appreciate you coming to kick it with me. Is there anything else you want to go over?
Bro, I don't think so. That was fun.
This was fucking dope. All right, man. As always, I appreciate you guys coming to tune in. I love y'all. I will catch you guys on the next one. Let's go. Make sure you check out Gatsby's music. Subscribe, like, comment, all that good shit. Check them out.
Yes, sir.